Hey everyone, Ben Cooper Radio, episode doesn't matter. Anyway, I'm a massive penis for not getting my words right. I'm very excited for today's guest. Now, the reason why I'm excited is because it's a little bit different. Now, the people I usually get on the show, I've followed for a long time. I've kind of evolved with their work a little bit. I've kind of learned stuff off them. You know, and they've kind of nourished me on my journey. And this guest is a little bit different because that's been different. I haven't kind of been on an educational journey with them, but I've observed their work for a long time because they've been similar to me in the industry. Now, a good few years ago, this individual, I didn't really resonate with his work. Didn't really like what he kind of did, didn't really like what he was about. And now that is totally flipped on his head. I've got a huge amount of respect for his work. He's kind of very much, he was never kind of like me and what we did, but he very much thinks like me now. And I think what I see in this person is where I see fitness needing to go, and he's a very refreshing voice in fitness right now. So I'm really excited to speak to him because I just think what he's doing right now is awesome. Jamie Alderton, hello.
Ben, how are you? Thank you ever so much for having me on your podcast.
Mate, dude, you are welcome. You know, we've only very met briefly now and again at shows, and it's always been a little bit, hiya, I know who you are, yeah, you know who I am, yeah, nice one, brilliant. And then it wasn't until SFN this year where we were able to have a good 10 minutes to say, look, mate, really like what you're doing, hello, and can kind of connect properly without there being any kind of fake behaviour or anything. So I just want to, again, say, really respect what you're doing in fitness right now, and we're going to delve into that in a big way. But for people that don't know who you are, I know you've got a massive social media following. There's a lot of raving fans for your work. When people say, Jamie, what do you do, sir? How do you now explain what you do?
Well, it's a lot easier now because I actually have a base. I am director of a Grenade Fit Gym, but before that, I was running everything from the last 8 months out of my daughter's playroom. So it's very hard to try and explain, as with anything, what it is that I do. But, I've always called myself a body transformation coach. And the reason I said that was, I didn't really want to be labelled as a personal trainer because I felt like I did more than what a personal trainer did. With a lot of my clients, I was seeing them for an hour, but then I really wanted to know what they were doing when they weren't with me. With their sleep, with their lives, basically. And that's what really kind of interested me, was people. And it's where I tend to see that I'm going a lot more now, because I'm so interested in what's going on in people's heads. So, I'd like to say I'm moving to more of a transformation coach. But I also do lots of other little bits and bobs. I tend to jump on stage now and again. I'm a WBFF Pro Fitness model. I run an awesome podcast as well called Mindset with Muscle. And if I'm being honest, I'm just very privileged to be able to do the things that I want to do in life.
So coming back to your name, I've obviously said Jamie Alderton. One of your other sort of names is Grenade J. How did that all come about? And it's kind of stuck. It's never changed. What is Grenade J?
So I'd love to come up with some amazing story. In fact, I think I need to create one. But basically, I got sponsored by Grenade supplements in 2010, one of their very first athletes. And people used to see me and at expos and that and say, oh, that's that Jay from Grenade. That's that Jay from Grenade, and that's your Grenade Jay. And it was just that kind of thing. Well, I'd rather be called Grenade Jay than Jay from Grenade. So I just went, right, Grenade Jay. And with myself, it was like, I didn't really understand what I was doing with regards to marketing and branding. I just wanted to, as soon as I thought Grenade J, that's a cool name, got the branding, and then just became it.
And seeing as you're ex-military, I suppose it is a little bit fitting.
Yes, very much so. I mean, that's how, I kind of connected with Grenade at the start. I'd left the army December 2009, and my very first fitness expo was Body Power 2010. And I remember doing a tops off competition on the main stage, which I lost to a girl. She didn't take her top off, so it was a bit of a stitch up. And I got down and I just started speaking to Grenade. And those kind of things where you think it's a bit too good to be true. Mm-hmm. I had Alan at Grenade just talking about all the stuff he wants to do with the brand and et cetera, et cetera. I didn't think much of it. And then I followed up with a phone call about 3 or 4 months later. Then I was on a photo shoot a couple of months later, and then I was in all the magazines, Men's Fitness, etc., etc. It was just like, wow. So that's where really everything started with me with the fitness industry, was back in 2010.
Nice. You mentioned, or I mentioned, sorry, the military background. Now, when we think of the military, we think of several different things, a certain persona goes into the military. Now, when I was speaking to you at SFN, you said the military almost saved you. What do you think the military did to you, and what do you think it's now almost created in you as a better person? And I suppose because you're now such a fan of mindset, and so am I, what can people learn from the attributes of things like the military and those environments? What can we learn and take away to improve our lives?
I think the biggest thing that the army teaches you is core values such as integrity, looking after each other, etc., etc. It's something that obviously those fundamentals aren't taught at school. It seems to be every man for himself. And it also teaches you discipline, because obviously everyone for sort of 12 weeks has to go through basic training. So they have to learn these things, they have to be drilled into these things, etc., etc. And it makes a huge difference because, you get those routines, you get those rituals, you get those understandings working together as a team. And, that's one thing that was drilled into me from a young age, something that I didn't have when I joined the army. I was a little shit, to be honest. I just had no real kind of moral compass, so to speak. I didn't know what direction I wanted in my life. And that's basically what the army gave me, because, I've said to a lot of people, if I hadn't have gone into the army, I probably would have been in prison, if I'm being honest, because I didn't actually know what I wanted to do. I didn't really, listen to any kind of authority. And, I was in a bad place. I had just flunked college, and I was just like, right, I need to do something here. I was 17, I was like, right, let's just join the army. But it turns out to be the best decision I ever made.
When we talk about values, it's a book I'm a massive fan of, Michael Happel's book. I think it's How to Be Brilliant, and he talks about values in that. And when I did the exercises in his books, and it's funny because you read a good self-help book and there's exercises in it, but no fucker ever does the exercises in the book. It's like, oh, I'll just skip over that, I don't need it. No, do the exercises in the book, they're there for a reason. And I did his values task, and I've still got it to this day up on my whiteboard, up on the right. And I've got the 10 values that I kind of live by and want to be seen by. And I have to conduct myself in that way, otherwise I'm not being true to myself. And, really what we're now looking at is, if you don't have values that you really resonate with, do you live a life where you are simply not being true to yourself in your journey?
Definitely. I think you need to question the things that you do constantly. One of my greatest books is How to Win Friends and Influence People. And exactly as what you're saying, there's 6 principles up there which they talk about with regards to, creating a following, getting people to like you, etc., etc. And a lot of it isn't kind of manipulation techniques of that. It's just being a good person and listening to what people are interested in. Because so many people are so, this day and age, talking about themselves. Me. And I used to be one of those people. But you don't get any benefit from that. I mean, it's important to focus on yourself. You do need a certain element of selfishness there, but too many people are either completely selfish or completely selfless, and it's very hard to get that balance. But what I find most rewarding is helping people, listening to people, and understanding things from other people's perceptions, because what that's enabled me to do is grow my business and grow as an individual too. But that all started really from listening. And I think one of my biggest transformations was actually listening to podcasts, because it was something that I'd never done till about, I think it was 2013, I listened to my first podcast, and I was hooked, because I was hooked on listening to other people's stories. And I think that was my huge realization, because reading changed my life, podcast changed my life, because it was all about other people instead of myself. So it was less about what... how I react to the world, and more about, how I impact the world by doing what I do, and by also listening and understanding other people.
So drawing on that kind of yourself, and what I see is the person that you now are in fitness compared to 2010, 2011, 12, How has that person changed? What characteristics have developed? Because I see you as a completely different person and someone that I think a massive amount of people could genuinely look up to in fitness now.
When I first started off in the fitness industry, I'd say 2010, 2011, I was viewing myself as more of a product. And I really scanned back to why that was. And I kind of left the army. I said to myself when I left the army, I'll leave when I stop enjoying it. And I remember I had a big fallout with my staff sergeant. And he said to me, you know, there's no jobs out there. You'll never make anything of yourself out in Civvy Street. And for me, it was that kind of, I'll show you. And, you know, I started creating this product. And this product was obviously Grenade J. I used to go to fitness expos, take my wedding ring off, and my wife would be like, why are you taking your wedding ring off? I'd be like, well, when I'm at expos, I'm not Jamie Alderton, I'm Grenade J. And I think that's where I was going wrong, because I was just looking at what other people viewed me as rather than who I actually wanted to be. And that was a huge impact on me mentally, because, you know, coming from the army to, you know, Civilian Street was very difficult for me because I'd become very disciplined in routines and then didn't have that when I left the army. Then suddenly I found natural bodybuilding. I was like, oh, this is exactly what I need. I need this imaginary person on my shoulder telling me what to do. But what would happen with doing that is I would block everything out in my life and just focus on that one thing. Now, I got very, very good at it because I was very selfish and very focused on the task in hand. But I always needed a reason to be in shape. I always needed to have something to look forward to. And I think that was the biggest problem with myself, because it was all about me. It wasn't about anyone else. It wasn't about my family. It wasn't about friends. It was all about what I want to get out of life and what I want to do and how others perceive me as from a physique perspective. Because literally 2010, 2011, I honestly thought that's all I had to give to the world, was the fact that I had a decent body. So if I didn't have that, i.e. was out of shape, you know, I felt like I had nothing to offer this world. So from my perspective, it was a case of whenever I had a fitness expo or anything where I had to be Grenade J, I couldn't go to it unless I was in shape. So if someone sort of rung me and said, oh, can you do a photo shoot in 2 weeks? I would panic. I would shit myself and go, fuck, I need to get in shape, quick. And I think that's the biggest transformation for myself, is that I realise it's less about, you know, my physique and that, and it's what I can do for other people now. But it's funny that the knock-on effect of that has enabled me to have an even better physique now, because my habits, my routines, my lifestyle has that, you know, non-extreme kind of mentality anymore. It has that better balance, and I've learned to find the things that work for me and that I enjoy doing, which in turn helps me, you know, sustain what I'm doing. So it's, you know, been a huge sort of emotional, physical transformation for myself over the last 4 years.
Because you're obviously, right now you're in great shape, you're looking to compete. When are you looking to compete?
I've got a complete year off, so it's probably not going to be till next August.
Okay, so you're having like a big off season, getting the old guns working. So you're still going to compete, you're still in great shape, you're still working as a cover model, you still have the body. Now, you have a totally different shift in mindset. Now, kind of what I want to get out of this last sort of almost question is, there's still going to be people, and we've covered a ton of mindset stuff on this podcast over the last 30 to 40, 50 episodes. There's still going to be a lot of people that have very obsessive habits around what they're doing. The body, the goal, the strength, the power, the athleticism, whatever it is. What advice would you give someone to just take that final step to say, it's good, you can have all that. You can be fast, strong, look good, be lean, whatever. But there is another side to life. There is life as we know it. What kind of final, almost pearls of wisdom would you kind of dish out to try and get people to where you're at with this? Because you're in a good place.
I think for myself, you know, it's very important. It's very hard for me to tell people where I've come from and where I've sort of seen the light kind of thing. But a lot of people need to go through it themselves. I think the biggest problem with a lot of people is that they don't achieve the things that they want to achieve. So they're on that constant quest to get it. Now, what I found is I was constantly achieving the things that I did, but at a cost. And it wasn't until I started looking at that cost that I started to ease off the pedal. But that confidence grew from setting the goals and achieving them. what really changed with me, and what I say to a lot of people, is that it's very, very important to have short and long-term goals, but then also get a piece of paper, write down 2 words, then what? Because there will always be that then what. You achieve a short-term goal, then what? You achieve a long-term goal, then what? Now, as much as short and long-term goals are important, it's also important to have a lifelong purpose. And, a lifelong purpose is, why do you get up every day and do this? What is the reason for this? And a lot of that comes down to something that you need to find yourself that's very personal. The thing that rocked my world and changed my life was my daughter. That's what completely changed the game for me in 2013, because it was less about a selfish Jamie and it was more about a selfless dad. And my lifelong purpose now is to, see Eliza walk down the aisle. So as that is such a long way away, even though I hit my short and long-term goals, I will always have that lifelong purpose. I will always have that reason to look after myself, to stay fit, to stay healthy, because it's not about me anymore, it's about her. So the thing that I want to really say to people is that, yeah, it's great to set these short and long-term goals, to get shredded, to get massive, to, get your PBs, but really consider the reasons that you're doing this. A lot of it is down to enjoyment, but a lot of it is down to, health and actually bettering your life rather than hindering it.
That sounds quite personal, and I'm just interested to find out if that links to you professionally. Do you currently have a real clear purpose in the industry that we're in right now, which is fitness? What do you feel your purpose is?
I feel my purpose is to show people, and at the end of nearly every single seminar that I do, I tell people time and time again that I am nothing special whatsoever. I have no amazing certifications, qualifications, or anything. The only thing that I tell people that I potentially have above everyone else is work ethic, and the fact that I've been very fortunate to have had my military training. I'm very lucky to have that kind of discipline drilled into me from a young age. I'm also very fortunate to have been well travelled. I worked as a security advisor in the Middle East. Worked as a UN security advisor in Mogadishu, Somalia, and in Kenya. So I saw a different side to people, really. And being in Kenya, being in Somalia, made me realise how appreciative people are for not having a lot. There was young kids there. Mogadishu is one of the most dangerous places in the world. Yet these kids had smiles on their face. They were just happy to be alive. And then you come back down to London, and all of a sudden people are pissed off because they've got 3% left on their iPhone. And a lot of people aren't grateful for the things that they have in life, but also a lot of people don't realise the potential that they actually have this day and age to do whatever the fuck they want to do. And I think it's my personal mission to show people that you can literally do anything that you put your mind to, and to show people the steps in order to achieve that. And it's just by focusing on the things that you actually want to do, blocking out the noise of other people's opinions, and really sit down and find what it is that you enjoy doing. Because if you find that thing and you work hard enough to, achieve things with that passion, then amazing things will happen to you, regardless of if you've got no GCSEs, regardless of if you've had a rough time up to now in life. There's always a person out there that's had a worse time than you, that's had it much harder than you, that hasn't used that lame excuse.
Amen. So with some of your kind of recent evolutions as a person, who have you followed? Have there been some people that have really kind of gone, do you know what, these guys have helped me on my journey, I've really enjoyed their podcasts or books or whatever? You've already talked about how to win friends and influence people. What other people have there been that other people might want to follow?
Person that's really doing it for me at the moment, I spoke about this at SFN, Gary Vaynerchuk, from a business point of view, has been fantastic. He's has that kind of work ethic and mentality, and he's probably in my eyes, a bit of a breath of fresh air, because a lot of people are doing this whole 4-hour work week kind of thing, living at a laptop, and he's just turning around and going, no, I'm where I am today because I work fucking hard. Another guy that's really floating my boat at the moment is a guy called Robin Sharma. Robin Sharma, absolutely phenomenal. He talks about, leadership, talks about being world class, and he's coming from a background of not perfection, and a lot of these high performance coaches that you see, a lot of people see it as woo-woo shit, and I think us as Brits are very skeptical with this kind of stuff. The whole meditation, they just see a load of hippies and joss sticks, but what they don't realise is the profound impact that it has on your life. And a lot of these guys have come from pain and suffering, but they've seen the light. So it's important to listen to these kind of people. Robin Sharma definitely has opened my eyes to a lot of things the last sort of few weeks and months, especially with managing people now, especially with running a gym, and it kind of solidifies those values that you spoke about previously, which you need to remind yourself daily, weekly, to see through. Because I think for me, listening to those kind of people on a daily basis is just the same as going to the gym 3 or 4 times a week. Your brain has to be exercised just as much as your body. So you can't just listen to a podcast and then not bother for a week or not bother for 2 weeks. You certainly wouldn't do that with the gym. It's something that you need to do daily practice with. So for me at the moment, who's floating my boat, Gary Vaynerchuk and Robin Sharma.
Fair enough. So talk to me about the gym. Why did you want to do it? You kind of did a lot of your stuff online. You could probably live in the Bahamas if you wanted to and do what you do. Why build the gym, have the stress? Like, what went through your mind?
Back in 2012, I had a very well-paid job with the UN. I had my own driver. I had a 6-bedroom house with a pool, which I was sharing with another guy. I had a pretty good life, and I was lazy as fuck because it was easy. And what happened is I started to make excuses for things. I started to become just not the kind of person I wanted to be. And then something happened. I got made redundant, and my whole life flipped upside down. And from that day, I said to myself, I will never coast through life, because if it gets easy, then something needs to change. Now, I was in a contract with my private studio for 3 years, and I had that option of, right, when I finish this, I can just work with clients online. I can have a good balance of life, etc., etc., etc. I knew straight away that if I had that, then I would be back to where I was 4 years ago. So I was like, right, what is it you actually want to do? And it was like, right, I have this idea for a gym facility. It's not like your typical one. I see where the things that I don't like in gyms, I see the things that I do like. And what I wanted to do is create a community of people, both online and in person, and create this atmosphere where people are excited to be in, to take all those misconceptions out of gyms with stringers and attitudes, and just have a community of people that can actually transform their lives through health, fitness, and through being inspired by other people around them on the same journey. So that was my dream 2 years ago, and I worked fucking hard every single day to make that happen. And June this year, I opened Grenade Fit.
So I'm intrigued. If I was to walk up to the doors of your gym tomorrow, for me, what would be different when I walk in? Tell me a little bit about the experience.
Okay, so we do have people come down. We only have 50 members here, but everyone knows each other by the first name. Everyone's interested in what they're doing, what they're up to. We have a private Facebook group. Tonight, every Thursday, we get all the members together and we have a seminar every single Thursday. Last week, I was talking about like dope. We were talking about happiness chemicals. The week before, I was talking about anxiety. We talk about nutrition, we talk about training, and basically anything that the clients want to know more about, we put on every Thursday. And then sort of Thursday evening as well, we do a kind of competition, get everyone together, create that community aspect. And that's it really. When you come down, it's a place where people give a shit.
Yeah.
people ask you questions, people listen, people actually genuinely care. Every trainer down here, every person genuinely cares where you currently are and what it is that you want to do. And I make it my personal mission for that. You know, if I see a client or a member in there that's looking a bit down, I'll look down, I'll take them up in my office, I'll sit them down and go, what's up? And I know for a fact there's no other gyms that do that. You know, a lot of gyms just care on footfall, where for me it's about results, but not just physical results. It's the whole, you know, mental transformation too.
Sounds awesome. Well, I'll come down one day for a session.
Definitely.
And every time you do a set, I'll take a couple of them plates off, and then I'll do a set and we'll put a couple more plates back on.
I'll have to introduce you to Peggy. You'll love her.
So with the gym and with kind of where you're moving with that kind of ethos around it, I'm intrigued to know what's next. What's on the horizon with where you're trying to push with yourself in fitness?
At the moment, next month I launched my very first book, Mindset with Muscle. That is basically everything I've learned the last year, really, from my podcast, from interviewing people, and getting my own personal understanding of, you know, both physical and mental transformations and how people can apply that in their own lives. I've got an idea for another book in February, which I'm going to be writing, and it's more geared towards just psychology of overweight people, which I'm excited to start writing. And it's about growing the the Grenade Fit community, growing the website, and also potentially opening up another Grenade Fit somewhere in the UK.
Nice. Okay, I want to sort of rewind back to some of the changes you've made and the habits that you've got. I think the people that want to implement greater change in their life, it's always good to know what others are doing. So you've read books like Robin Sharma, autobiographies. I love reading about other people that are doing good things in their life. What habits do you have in either your day or your week that are like, this is what I do to make Jamie Alderton, Jamie Alderton?
So the most important thing on a daily basis, or at least 3 or 4 times a week, is just setting yourself up to win. And that comes down to preparation. For myself, I live 10 minutes from the beach, so I go on a lot of power walks. So with those power walks, they're usually about an hour and 15 minutes. And what I usually do on them is what I like to call kind of Snapchat journals. So I will be writing something up the night before that I want to talk about, which it might potentially be a chapter of my book. It might potentially be a seminar that I'm doing. I'll write down my thoughts on it very briefly, and then I'll just drop the bombs on Snapchat. So that will be sort of the first 10-15 minutes of my walk. Then I'll be listening to an audiobook, and then that's kind of my morning routine on my power walk. I come back, I'll get my diaries out, I'll make breakfast, I'll watch a YouTube video, I'll plan my diary out, and then I'll get ready for my day. For me, there's lots of different morning routines, but I think it's so important to have one. And whether that is getting a combination of exercise, combination of self-education, and a combination of planning. Robin Sharma does a really good one, which I recommend a lot of people look at, and it's a kind of 20-20-20 system where people spend 20 minutes doing some kind of exercise, 20 minutes doing diary planning, and then 20 minutes doing self-education. So be it reading a chapter of the book or watching a YouTube video, etc., etc. But the basics are, it's just setting yourself up to win each and every day, because so many people just wake up, they check their emails, they're in a very reactive state of mind. But as soon as you start transitioning to that proactive state of mind where you're like, right, I'm in control of my life, no emails, no nothing until I've sorted myself out, that little element of selfishness means that you're able to be more selfless for the rest of the day and for the rest of the week, because it's that cheesy airplane analogy, which you hear all the time, where people say, you know, when the plane's going down, they tell you to put your mask on first because, you know, you're not going to be good to anyone helping them if you're dead. Mm-hmm. And it is so true. You know, you have to have that element of selfishness. You have to look after yourself so you can look after more people.
I think with anything in life, fitness, diet, training, career, finance, whatever it is, it does just come to planning and being reflective. someone said we were in a seminar. Oh, it was at SFN, and we were doing that roundtable Q&A, and someone said to me, Ben, well, they asked all of us, they said, what is the one thing that you wish you'd done more of when you were younger, like that one key mistake? And I said it wasn't being reflective enough. I was a good planner, and I was always moving forward and being quite reactive and just doing, but I didn't have an hour or two every week where I sat back and just went, do you know what, how's this week gone? How was my diet? How was my training? How was my career? Everything. And I think if I was more critical, I'd probably be about 2 years ahead of where I am.
It's that same thing. What gets measured gets managed. You know, if people say, "Oh, you know, I'm struggling to lose weight," I say, "Well, do you know how many calories you're consuming?" No. And people are like, "Oh, I'm not where I want to be in life." It's like, "Well, do you know where you currently are in life?" And they're like, "Well, no." I'm like, "Well, how do you get to where you want to be if you don't know where you are?" You need some element of management to say, "Right, this is where I currently am. This is where I want to be," and then reverse engineer it and going, "What do I need to do to get there?" But so many people just coast through life, you know, just going, "Oh, you know, it's because of this, because of that, because of that." And I'm just like, no, it's not because of that. It's because of you. You're not taking extreme responsibility for your own life. You're not being honest with yourself, because we're our own biggest fucking liars. You know, we'll tell people, "Oh, I'm no good at this, I'm no good at that. I'll just accept that I'm crap at that." And it's like, well, that's bullshit. You know, just write that down. Accept that you're not doing the things that you should be doing, and that you need to do it more. Be honest, and then you can start to progress with where you are, instead of blaming everyone else and blaming yourself.
So talking about planning, and I just want to touch on this because people know you very much as a fitness model. I'm sure that exercise, training, diet is still a big part of your life that you plan. There's still a key regime. You're still in the gym training, I don't know, 5 whatever days a week. Talk us through what I suppose your training and nutrition looks like, because I think a lot of people will be intrigued.
Okay, so I'd like to tell you that I'm consistent with my training. I do, you know, I focus on my volume, intensity, frequency and that, but I probably train now, 2 or 3 times a week. That's it. You know, a lot of it is power walks. You know, I've got this nice, shiny gym, but I'd rather be, you know, writing and filming content at the moment, if I'm being honest. Though it's important, you know, I'm not extreme with my training. You know, it's very intuitive. The only time it really steps up a gear is when I'm competing. But apart from that, you know, I'm very fortunate to be in a category of competing where I'm too big for the category. So whenever I need to get ready for it, I had to drop. I dropped about 4.8 kilos of muscle last November to fit the category. And in a way, that's a good thing, because I always feel like I don't need to progress with my physique. Even though the knock-on effect of that means I do. So for me, it's focused on enjoyment. You know, I tend to just train with some of the guys who are training there. I tend to like more of the metabolic kind of stuff. So I like pushing really. We've got a very heavy sled we call Peggy, and I tend to do about 4 or 5 sessions of that a week. Pretty intense. Really focusing on squats at the moment. But I tend to just like focus on one exercise and try and better that. And that keeps me entertained. So my, you know, training wise, it's very intuitive, I would say, and more sporadic, just getting in there while I can. With regards to nutrition, I track about 80%.
I want to stop you there, just so people can kind of contextualise that. Now, I would say your physique is at a point where it's good. Like, you look good, you're pretty balanced, that kind of stuff. For someone else that's there, like me, I'm not that bothered about size in particular areas or whatever. I'm done with all that. Would you say that for someone that is 20, 21, 22 and is trying to pursue a physique that might be similar to yours, that yes, you do need that kind of dedication, that there do needs to be a certain amount of volume and strength progression, etc., because your goal is that you are that focused on progression?
I think I think I need to put some context in there, really. I've been training with weights since I was 13. So I've been training with weights for 18 years now. So I've developed a lot of muscle tissue, you know, because most people I know don't really start training 25, 26, 27 plus. So I've got, 14, 15 years on a lot of people. So that's one thing why it's, you know, in a sense a lot easier. But also for those 18 years, a lot of them were very, very, very hardcore. kind of, as you would like to say, 5-6 times a week, sometimes doing 2 a days, really, really focused, really extreme kind of mindset with the nutrition and training. But the knock-on effect of that was developing a lot of muscle tissue, etc., because it was just consistency of going to the gym. So I think it's important for someone who is new to the gym, who's new to building muscle, understand the importance of that consistency in the gym, importance of building up those habits to make kind of the gym more subconscious rather than being forced to go. Because if you start forcing yourself to do things, you'll find that the level of enjoyment and what you're doing goes down. And the knock-on effect of that is you don't train as hard, you don't enjoy it, and you won't progress. So for the 22, 23-year-old guys out there, focus on being consistent. So that's not going to the gym 6 days a week, every single week, because the reality of that is you'll probably end up not enjoying the gym. It's a case of what can you commit the minimum amount to, whether that's 3 days a week, whether that's 4 days a week. And that's what I say to myself. For me, what I say to a lot of people is that they need to have at least 2 non-negotiable days. My non-negotiable days is I must get in the gym at least twice a week. I need to get an upper body session and a lower body session. And it's that kind of tick off the list kind of thing. But the knock-on effect of that is because I've already achieved that, I tend to go more. When you set unrealistic targets and you can't tick those boxes off, let's just say you're saying 6 days a week instead of 5, then you lose that motivation because you think, I've failed at something. So for me, I've got those strong subconscious habits. I've got many, many years behind me of going in the gym, but I choose the things that I enjoy doing. Even though I'm only training through, 2-3 times a week, they are pretty hard sessions. And a lot of what I do now is down to my nutritional habits.
Yeah. Nice, I agree. Yeah, I'm in the gym about 2 or 3 days a week, and there'll be periods where I do a bit more. Like the last 2 weeks, not a lot. I've been away at a festival, been travelling a lot. But next week, I'm going to get really stuck in. I fancy it. I can see it coming. And do you know what? There's no anxiety around it. And that's the thing. I might be like, well, I could have trained more, but and what? Literally, so what?
Yeah,
and sometimes that's where we need to get to.
Doesn't make you any worse of a person.
No. So, sorry, I interrupted as you were going to talk about the diet side of it a little bit.
So I track about 80% of my macros. I have a very, strong routine. I get into pretty good routines. I track a lot on MyFitnessPal. MyFitnessPal is my kind of subconscious habit. MyFitnessPal makes it a lot easier. I weigh a lot of my food, but I do it very subconsciously. It's very interesting. I say this a lot. I had a friend round, and I was talking to him, and I got my scales out, and put my bowl on, and he was just like, "Do you always weigh your food?" And I was like, I just looked, I was like, "Oh, I guess I do." And it just made me realise, and I was just like, how do I explain this to him? And I was like, okay, let's look at it like this. You've never brushed your teeth in your life, and I'm just going to hand you a toothbrush now, and I say, I want you to brush your teeth in the morning and before you go to bed. Will you remember to do it for the first week? And he was like, no. And I was like, well, that's what my scale's like. It's something I've done for many, many, many years. So I don't look at it as, oh shit, I need to weigh my food. It's just, I walk into my kitchen, my brain triggers, I get that reaction, and I get the reward. The reward is staying nice and lean. So it's that whole kind of habit loop where I've just got those subconscious habits in what I do. So I do weigh a lot of my food. It doesn't control my life. I'd say 80% of my nutrition's from good sources, purely because I like voluminous food. I do have a tendency to hit the McLife, as I call it. I've got McDonald's across the road, so I'm very prone to a chicken wrap, or 2 chicken wraps. Or 2 chicken wraps and a berry blast smoothie. So that tends to be my lunch sort of 3 times a week. But for me, it's just getting that nice balance. Fridays and Saturdays, I always make sure if I'm not dieting for anything I compete in, the Grey Goose comes out. It is my little Friday feeling thing where I finish a hard day's here, straight home, double Grey Goose and tonic, and a nice smile on my face. But it comes down to that whole balance, that kind of 80-20 principle. 80% of the time I track, and 20% of the time I don't, and that equates to maintaining my physique. However, if I'm competing, I know that needs to change because my priorities have changed.
Mm-hmm. Mate, that's awesome. Love it. Before we wrap up, I think when anyone that's kind of like an educator or likes to share their thoughts, there's things that kind of we're passionate about at any given time. Now, a lot of your kind of passionate thought processes at the moment are kind of mindset and what you're doing with your life. Is there anything that I haven't asked you today that you almost want to get off your chest and you think is just valuable for people to know and understand to help them with their personal progress?
Empathy, I would say.
Okay.
Understanding things from other people's points of view. A lot of people, with regards to business, they know they have a great product, but no one else does. So and they get frustrated because they're like, oh, well, I have this great thing. I'm like, well, does anyone actually know it's great? So, but then that can easily transition to fitness and everything else like that. A lot of people walk into a gym and it's a very scary place. And they go, oh, everyone's looking at me. And I say, do you ever stop to think that those people are looking at you the same way that you're looking at them? And they're like, oh, no, because they're in shape. I'm like, you do realise that most people in shape are more conscious of themselves than you are of yourself. And what I want to say to a lot of people is that it doesn't cost a lot to smile and be nice to people. And it makes a huge difference, not only with other people's lives, but with your life too. We're all busy as fuck. We've always got somewhere to be and somewhere to do. But committing to making a few little small wins a day, and what I mean by small wins is doing something nice for people and not expecting anything in return, is more rewarding to yourself and to the world than anything. And that sounds very, very Jostick kind of mentality, but it certainly had a profound impact on my life the last year by just using the whole quote of give and forget, receive and remember, because it makes me feel nice that I'm doing things for others, and it does come round to bite you in the arse. It's the whole reciprocity and kind of karma kind of thing. You do good things to people and people do good things to you. So what I want to say to people is that there are a lot of angry people in this world. There are a lot of frustrated people in this world, but that doesn't mean that you need to get frustrated with them. It's understanding where they're coming from, empathizing, and that in turn will help you de-stress.
Lovely. Jay, you mentioned your book. Is there a set date of when it's coming out?
I'm just speaking to the publisher because I'm obviously focused on getting Christmas #1. So it will be out on the day where I think it's going to go to the #1 spot.
How are you going to time that? That's going to be fun.
I'm doing a lot of research.
Okay.
There's a lot of kind of algorithms with Amazon.
Yeah.
And I won't beat around the bush with people. I'll say, look, guys, I give you lots of value. I need you to buy my book on this day. I'm not fucking about. I said I want Amazon #1, and I will find every tactic in it in order to get it. Because there's only two things I had on my to-do list this year. 1, shiny new gym. 2, new book. But it's kind of new best-selling book would be very, very nice.
The only reason I ask is, should we delay when this podcast goes out so it can push your book?
I'm going to say no, because I think it's awareness now.
Okay.
I'm going to start really building up the hype, talking about little bits, giving little people sneak peeks until they burst, and then I can just go, right, here we go. It's probably going to be mid-November.
Okay.
So plenty of time to get excited for it.
Okay. Well, I think it would be an incredible book. I really like your approach now. I know I've beaten that drum till it's dead, but I want people to be aware that the reason why I've done this interview is because there's so much in ourselves that can change, and we have so much potential. And I don't want to sound like I'm patronising you, because from a peer to a peer in the industry, I think the way that you now have the potential to help other people is profound compared to kind of the way that you approached your work a long time ago. And I think if anyone's listening to this right now, we all have the power to be brilliant in our careers, with our loved ones, with our training, with our nutrition, if we choose to be better people. And we've mentioned a couple of times about the stuff that we did at SFN, because we're on a little round table together. And one of the things that came out of that is be a better person and you will be better in life.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are battling with their own self-confidence. So it's realise it's okay to be confident in what it is that you're doing. Understand that a lot of people aren't confident in what they're doing, and just understand that, you know, when you do start getting that following, when you do have a voice, there will be a lot of people listening. So make sure what you're saying is having an impact on people and not causing drama, negativity, etc., because there's too much of that in this world.
Jay, I want people to be able to find you as a result of today. Where do you like to send people? Facebook, Snapchat, that kind of stuff. You are a very active person on social media. So if you take the next 15 minutes to tell people, I understand.
So everyone, you can, if you don't follow me, what the fuck's going on here? You can follow me on Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter. It's all the usual logons: Twitter, Facebook, snapchat.com/GrenadeJ. Everything is GrenadeJ, so it's @GrenadeJ /GrenadeJ, etc. If you want to check out my podcast, just type on iTunes Mindset with Muscle. We're currently on 41 episodes there. And if you want to check out my subscription site, we have an online fitness community there with some awesome digital downloads of lean programs, mass programs, and shape programs for you ladies out there. It's grenade-fit.com.
Nice. Well, you've heard it, people. Jamie's doing a lot of very good stuff. Whether you like using Snapchat or Instagram or whatever it is, type in Grenade J, follow him, absorb his information. I know his book's going to be brilliant because his message is just brilliant. Jay, thank you very much for sharing your wisdom today. It's been awesome.
Thanks ever so much for having me, Ben. Really appreciate it.
For anyone that is listening, engage with us. Me and Jay put ourselves out there as people that can help others. If you see this on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, wherever, give us a shout. Tell us whether you liked it. Tell us your experience. Tell us what you're working towards. If you engage with us, we'll engage back and we will help you as much as we possibly can. Right, that's goodbye from me.
Adios, amigos.
And I will see you next week with another incredible guest. Goodbye, everyone. Stay awesome. Hey, everyone. Ben Cooper Radio, episode number, no idea, because I'm trying to get ahead of myself. As you know, I'm currently in the midst of my UK tour. Things are flying left, right and centre.